Epic Gaming Night is sponsored by Analog Gamer. Check out analoggamer.com for epic board gaming apparel.
Have you ever bought a board game when your spouse said no? Have you ever won a game on an insane dice roll? Have you ever killed a dragon using only chopsticks? Do you text your friends to distract them from your current moves? Can you finish off a pizza in between your second and third turn? Can you ride a panda across the plains of Dewey? Do you have what it takes to stop an evil wizard from destroying your village? Do you tell your friends to call you Dungeon Master? Can you muster the strength to play one more game after 2 a.m.? Can you be the chosen one all the way up to bedtime? Have you ever dared to say no and pick your best friend's favorite character anyway? Have you ever randomly shouted nonsense because you thought it would be funny, and it wasn't? Well, we haven't done most of those things either, but we are willing to try. Join us as we explore the world of board gaming and all the crazy things that come with it. Welcome to the Epic Gaming Night Podcast.
Welcome to the Epic Gaming Night Podcast, a podcast about tabletop games, but mostly board games. I'm your host, Roy Canday, and with me as always is Matt.
Yeah.
And Rob.
Pistachios!
Nice.
Bro, these things are addicting right now.
Rob's all about the pistachios.
I am.
How are you guys doing?
I'm okay-ish.
I feel pretty nutty. Come on, don't be okay-ish, Matt.
Matt, you gotta get hyped for the podcast. Let's do this.
Man, I'll try. Today's been a day, so
I know
What
those
happened?
feels.
I can't talk about it.
Oh, man.
I mean, I
Awesome.
can. It's not in the internet.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, today we're gonna be talking about
How much we love
Finite
Matt.
games.
Oh, and Finite games.
And how much we love Matt. But yeah. So, but before we do that, let's talk about what we've been playing. And we've played a lot of crazy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like since we're from North Carolina, instead of pronouncing it Finite, we should pronounce it Fitnit.
Isn't it?
I don't even know what that means.
That's okay. I don't know.
Awesome.
So
Well,
what we've been playing? We
I'll
all
go
played
first.
the same thing, didn't we?
Well, since we can't really talk about it, we played Pandemic Legacy, and it was amazing! And I will say this, the first month, no spoilers, is there are things that happen in the first month. We only played January. We lost the first game, and then we won the second game. And it starts off, like your first couple moves start off like regular Pandemic. But that's just it, your first couple moves. Within the first game, things are already changing.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely amazing. And I love the game. And in maybe a year, we'll be able to do spoilers or something for the game. But the game really is legit. And there's so many spoilers. And here's what I mean. We haven't even unlocked not even a 20th of everything. Like 5% maybe of everything. There is just a whole pad of spoilers that it comes with. And we've only unlocked one section of one piece of paper of the pad of paper and all the boxes and everything. We haven't even opened up any boxes. And there's just so much stuff to the game. So I'm very excited to play more. I can't really talk about it too much. But it's absolutely amazing. And I see why people are getting crazy hype about it.
Yeah.
So that was the game I played.
I'm excited about it. I'm sure we'll talk about some of the aspects of it, like the fun
You're not
things
as excited though
in this.
because you're not. You made several comments. that
I'm
you're not
excited.
good
I
at-
just felt real bad.
But you're not. Well, you said that you're not good at Pandemic. So is it fair to say that you're not as excited about it because you already know like crap?
I'm excited. I'm
I'm not
excited
very good
for
at
the future of it. I'm excited to see where it goes.
Okay.
I was more excited after we played it properly, and it wasn't just like a vanilla game of Pandemic. I was like, oh, we messed this up. And the funny thing is, I heard the guys from rolling dice and taking names, talking about, oh man, you got to make sure to follow all the instructions properly. And we made the exact same mistake as what Tony said that he made. And I'm like, dude, at least we put the sticker on the right place on the board. But I'm just like, man, we just played a vanilla game of Pandemic the first game. So I felt much better after it was changing up.
Stuff. Yeah, but I mean, we did and we didn't. And I will say the vanilla game, the rules that we messed up weren't significant. It's not like it changed a lot. Once we made our correction.
I also felt like I pulled back a lot because I started to feel like I was being too much of the alpha player, and I felt like I didn't want to like jump on everything that Rob said all the time and just run the whole game. I'm like, I need to calm back. I need to pull back. I like let you guys make decisions. I need to just be a little bit quieter. Because that first game I was pretty hard. Like, we gotta do this, we gotta do that, and it sucked. Because in this game, there's certain things that can happen to you sometimes, and it was gonna be real bad. And I was like, oh, it's fine. Like, the chances of that happening to you, Rob, is not that bad. I mean, it could happen to me, too. It's either us. And you're like, I don't know. This could not be good. And then immediately happened to Rob. And I'm like, I feel real bad. I feel real bad. I felt Rob got pretty salty there.
I don't really think that mechanic is a spoiler at all.
I know, but it's not in the base game. And, I mean, you know.
So, for those people who are curious, this isn't a spoiler, but there's a rule.
Don't say it.
There's a rule. It's a rule in the game. It's not a spoiler. But if you're in a city when it outbreaks, you get a scar. And a scar is just a little sticker that you put on your character sheet that denotes a bad thing. I'm not going to tell you what the bad things are, but
here's where it is a minor spoiler. In regular Pandemic, there is no characters, as in individual characters. Yeah. There are different characters that you can pick, but there's not one that like you name. For example, mine is the the guy that I started with.
Jeff?
Yeah.
Just Jeff.
Just Jeff. You guys have like first and last names and everything. My guy's just Jeff. He is this Asian man who is the call center guy.
Yeah.
Who's a dispatcher. And I just felt inspired that his name was Jeff. But that's what makes this game, that's why it is a little bit of a spoiler, because in the regular game, they don't have that. So, to go on what Matt said, yes, there are characters. There are 5 characters, but you can only play with 4 of them, and you get to name them and do certain things, and you can put scars, and so it changes their abilities. So
I was the medic.
That's all we'll say.
I was the medic, and if you know the medic from regular Pandemic, they can cure cubes better, and I really like that role as far as that. Yeah. I named my character Dan McNabb. I don't know why, because he's Dan McNabb. I mean, he runs around and freaking tries to cure stuff. I mean, it's just fun, the fact that you actually get to, like, you care about your character a little bit, and it makes it even worse if bad things happen to them. And there's all sorts of things with, like, I can see the game, like, there's so much more game, like, underneath all those little, like, secret things, and I'm excited to explore all that. If you like regular Pandemic, you will probably love this game. If you are not a super huge fan of regular Pandemic, you'll probably still get a ton of enjoyment out of this game, because there's just so much more, like, actual, like, stuff going on, and stuff carries on from game to game, just like any other Legacy game. The game persists in between each game, so that's pretty exciting, and I'm excited to see how we can build up our team to be better, you know? Like, it's kind of cool.
Yeah. It's good. I don't remember who I played.
And excited.
Was it the scientist or the researcher?
The scientist. Yeah, you could cure things with 1 less card. You only needed 4 instead of 5 cards.
Yeah, and I love your character, Matt, and I'm just like, Matt, let's do it, Matt. You gotta win this for us, Matt.
The issue is everybody has the cards I need, and I'm like, man, that's going to be real hard to get all these, and then I just draw random ones of different colors.
Yeah. And that's another thing is, like, sometimes Pandemic makes the randomness makes it a little bit more difficult, so sometimes you just have to get better.
It's fun, though.
Yeah. I was telling everybody...
was Rosa Parks.
Yeah, that's right, your character's name was Rosa Parks.
I didn't get to make as many bus puns as I wanted to. There's not a whole lot of bus puns in Pandemic.
No.
I
don't think there's any.
What
were you telling people, Roy? We're sorry.
My The reason I'm bad at Pandemic is I normally take too many risks. So it's like, oh, there could be a whole bunch of outbreaks over there. Like there could be viruses going crazy. But we could win the game if things happen just right and we do this specific thing. If those cards don't come up, we could win. And I always like take that risk, and it always ends up messing us up. It's like, oh, we probably should have like gone and stopped that. I'm like too rushed to like end the game or try to win the game, and it always comes back to bite me. So.
Bro, what is in your beard right now? I'm so sorry, Roy.
It's fun.
That was literally gobbledygook. You literally just had gobbledygook in your beard.
So, well, I have this neat like goblet of thing. It's just a beer.
He had
just a head on it.
He went straight up Viking. That's what happened.
Oh man,
it's fine. It's good.
It's like your mustache and beard is a filter for the filtered water or for the filtered beverage. It literally filtered what you were drinking. That's awesome.
Awesome.
So, Pandemic
like
Legacy is amazing. Get it. I think it's worth it. We'll talk about it more. We also,
Absolutely.
Roy and I also played Summoner Wars Alliances, which is a lot of fun. And we played with 2 brand new factions that neither him or I had never played before. And going back to the point that Roy just said about taking risks and winning perfectly, I had an opportunity to do that against Roy, and I went for it. And one die roll, I was one die roll away from winning. And so what I basically did is I sent my army, and I had I can't remember who I was playing with. They were the mercenaries in the swamp orcs, so it was swamp mercs or something, and they had this boar creature.
That was ridiculous.
He cost 3 magic, but I mean he was a pretty big beast. He could roll for 2 or roll for 3 if he attacked on his first turn. He had 3 life. I mean it was a pretty bit of a he was a beast. Anyway, I sent all my guys to go kill Roy. He left himself open. I was like, I need to do this, but I need everybody to hit right perfectly. And
I think you're rolling 5 dice, and you need every single one of them to hit.
And I hit on 4 of the 5.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, and I hit on
So
4 of the
close.
5. And so on Roy's next turn, he's like, you're open.
You need anything but a 1 or 2 to hit. So it's kind of like, I mean, the odds were kind of hard, but it could still happen. So.
Yeah. Well, I didn't get to roll 5 dice together. It was roll 3 dice and then roll 2 dice. And on the 3 dice one got all hits, and then on the 2 dice one I got a 2 and a 5. And so my 5 hit and my 2 missed. And then Roy, the next, I think it wasn't the exact next turn, but the turn after that, I wasn't able to recover because I spent a lot of my magic resources to get that one chance to do that. I could have played more defensively and done things differently, but I didn't. And so that's a fun game. I love Summoner Wars. I think that's a game that I will always play. I don't think I'll ever get rid of that game in my collection because it so much is a tactical miniature game with cards. And that's really it. I mean, you're doing the tactical miniatures. It's very basic on the movements and the attack, but it's a lot of fun. The artwork is amazing.
And all the rules are right there on the cards. The rules are just read them and be like, okay, that's what that does. That's easy.
Oh, yeah. So fun. A lot of fun and a lot of possibilities for the game. And so Summoner Wars Alliances was the second game.
Awesome.
That Roy told me what to do, and it was so mean, guys. He was so mean.
I'm sorry. It happens.
Very nice.
Matt, do you want me to describe the game that me, you, and Hector played? Because it's a doozy.
Yeah, you describe it.
You'll tell me
I'm
your
excited
feelings.
to hear about this.
I'll just give some anecdotes.
Awesome. So we played Forbidden Stars. Forbidden Stars is a space conquest game set in the Warhammer 40k universe. Basically, you're all sorts of different factions. You have the Chaos Space Marines, you have regular Space Marines, they're Ultramarines. Then you have the Orcs, and you have the Eldar. We were playing 3 players, so we don't play with the Eldar. So it was Orcs versus Chaos versus Ultramarines. So it was pretty crazy. Basically, you have a board with all these different planets and empty space and stuff like that you're trying to take over. Different things have different resources and stuff on it, so it's got some resource management in it. But you're trying to gain these objectives, and basically they're just at the beginning of the game. there's objectives set up on different planets that are controlled by other people or just controlled by no one, and you're trying to figure out how to get your objectives to be able to win the game. I think we were playing where you need 3 to win. I'm pretty sure that's the official rules, but there was 4 on the board, and you need 3 of those to win the game. So you're trying to figure out how to get there, and the other players are trying to get their own, but also stop you from getting yours. And you can kind of like be like, hey man, if you let me get that one, I'll let you get this one or whatever. If you want to try to do a little bit more negotiation type stuff, but mostly it's just to straight up get in each other's face, beat each other up. The actions in this game is pretty interesting because you have a bunch of different tokens that allow you to do actions, and you're going to place 4 of these tokens out on the board before you actually take your turn. So everybody's going to take turns placing one. There's one that lets you like move your units into a sector. There's one that lets you build units in a sector. There's one that lets you like do the special abilities of it. I mean, there's different like icons on the sectors that let you get different tokens, and it also lets you do your character's ability. It's called like dominate or something like that. And then there's also one that lets you get buy cards and upgrades for your faction, but it also allows you to get an event card, which allows you to move these warp storms around the board, which are all in the way, and they can kind of like block off different areas of the board, and they're hard to like get, like you can't really get through, except I think if you have like Matt's faction, and then that's just the ships can get through it or something like that. So you can move those around to try to block off different areas from people, so it makes it harder for them to get to you. They have to figure out a way around. It's a lot of fun because you have to figure out how to place these tokens down, and then you do the tokens that are showing on the board first, and you can only put 1 token in each sector at a time, and it goes into a stack. So if someone else puts their token on top of your stack, you can't take actions out of that sector until they've taken their action first. So it makes it super interesting how you play them down and what order you play them down. The stuff that I thought was really important, I would always like push to like the end of the turn. So like I would put it down last, and hopefully no one would put anything on top of it because I really wanted to like make that action happen. But yeah, it was super interesting trying to figure out how to set that stuff all up. But the game's a lot of fun. Super crazy. The combat in this game is very long and very like thought-provoking. Like you really need to think about what you're doing, because like, do I go defensive this turn? Do I go offensive this turn? Do I have enough units in play? Do I have enough units that aren't routed so that I can get my morale high enough so that I can win the battle even though all my guys aren't dead or all his guys aren't dead, and make him retreat? Like, it's very like, I'm going to say it again, thinky. It makes you think a lot, like which cards you're going to play and how you're going to do it. But the combats are also very long and drawn out. That's one thing that everybody says about this game is when 2 people are in combat, the rest of the people are just like, they're in combat.
They're going to make a sandwich.
I'm going to go make a cheesecake.
Yeah, exactly. And especially when the players are like in a battle that really matters, they're like, they don't want to just throw a card down because they're pretty intense, and it's pretty paper, rock, scissors-ish, and like really important which card you pick. And sometimes you have a lot of good options and you don't know which one's the right one because you don't know exactly what they're doing. So
and the other thing too is you can have multiple combats in a round. So like one round, me and Roy had combat like right at the beginning. Like it was the first thing we did was have combat, and then Hector was just like got on his phone because it took us like 20 minutes to resolve the combat, and like nothing really happened. I think you routed all of my guys, but I made you retreat from the sector, so you didn't really take anything.
You had
and it was
more morale than me.
And it was like, okay, cool. And then it was like, oh, and now each of us still have 3 to 4 tokens left to go through. So like the rest of the game just continued to progress, and that was just one round, and it was like, ooh, that was long.
This game is definitely like a huge, epic game. Like there is a lot going on. There's a lot of time involved in playing this game. Especially after like our first game. I've heard if you make like your own custom map, it's not as balanced, and sometimes the stuff isn't as spread out the same way, and a lot of times the game can actually be better if you don't play with the pre-made map. So I'm excited to try that now that I know how to play the game better. And there's also some other rules we've like kind of got wrong in certain parts of the game. I'm excited to play the game 100% correctly, but anytime you have a first like playthrough of one of these huge games, you're guaranteed to miss a little bit of something.
Yeah. On a game as big as that game. Rob,
I think you'll like that game. a lot because it reminded me of Game of Thrones.
Oh yeah, definitely.
In that, like, you have tile placements, and like, so I might place a tile in Roy's sector, and Roy's like, "Is that a movement tile?
Does it actually attack me?
What is that? Like, is it just him randomly putting a tile there that's not going to do anything, just for fun? Like, it's pretty ridiculous. And then not only that, but the whole movement is based on like ship placement, so it's kind of the same thing with like the boats in Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
I like
love
it
that.
better than Game of Thrones, personally.
Why do you like it
the
better
one
than
thing
Game of Thrones?
I don't know.
Is it because it's sci-fi themed?
Not really. I feel like Game of Thrones is too big, at least for me, because if I play it more, I probably wouldn't think that. But like that first playthrough, I'm like, man, this map is huge, and then the whole time it's like, I feel like I'm making mistakes because there are routes and things that I'm not thinking about, and it's like invariably it's just because I don't have enough map awareness of a map that is massive.
To anything you're saying anymore.
I love the fact in this game, the fact that you can buy different units and get the different types of units you want. Like, that's one of my favorite things in games when, like, you have all these resources. How are you going to spend it on units? Okay, well, I could get some more ships, or maybe I'll get some of the little guys, or maybe I could get a couple of the little guys, but maybe I'll get one of the bigger guys instead, or maybe I should save some money to get an upgrade instead. And, like, there's just all these different options of, like, what you're going to spend your resources on. And I think that's very different than, like, in Game of Thrones, like, okay, we have this piece that's worth 1 and this piece is worth 2, and it's kind of like, nah. But in this game, like, all the units are slightly different for the most part, and the different factions actually have, like, different stats on their units too, and the different factions have different special abilities, so it's very asymmetrical in that aspect.
Each different faction has their own different combat cards that do different things, and then there are other combat cards that you can buy, and then there are upgrades for units that you can buy, and then there's all this other stuff that you can buy that changes things and tweaks it so that it's not going to be exactly the same game, and so you won't necessarily come back in with the same strategy, and people go, oh, okay, well, this is what they're going to do because this is how it's supposed to be played, because you can be like, oh, cool. Like, I had an opportunity to win the game, and I forgot. Because, like, my faction special ability was anytime you use a dominate order, you can take one of your cultists and teleport it to an empty or friendly world in an adjacent sector. So both Roy and Hector had open planets with the objectives I needed to claim, and I went, okay. And I completely forgot about that ability and just did a bunch of other stuff, and then thought about it and went, no. I could have just sent one dude in there, claimed it, and just won the game.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been a huge expense for me at all.
I was playing, like, the whole, like, try to, like, super dominate the board. Like, I seriously had, like, half the board, at least. Yeah. And I was getting almost twice the number of resources as everybody else. So I was trying to play this long game where I just slowly went across the whole board with a huge army. Well, Matt played, like, a sneaky game. So we had a planet over here, and he was doing this sneaky stuff where he was basically teleporting his guys to claim the objectives, which is awesome. So he was doing this stuff where he was more, like, getting in the back door and, oh, you thought I was building up an army to attack you here, but no, I'm just really sneaking in the back way. And that was a lot of fun.
How did Hector like the game?
Hector said he really enjoyed it. He said there was a lot going on, and he feels like after playing it the first time, like he understood a lot. If we would have played a lot longer, Hector would have been terrifying. He had tons of reinforcements, and he was basically just turtling. He didn't have a whole lot of space, but what he had was just very well defended.
Yeah,
so
it was mostly like
pretty scary.
Roy had the map and the units, and I had 2 well-fortified planets, and then Hector had the entire rest of the map just coated in green. And it was like, okay. I was like, I can't go that way.
So most of the game was just me and Matt, like, trying to figure out how to, like, screw each other over, and Hector's just like, don't come over here.
It was just like Roy moving in small armadas to, like, test my defenses, and then be like, I routed all your guys, and I'm like, I build a guy, and I teleport him to your planet.
And I'm like, why did I leave that open? I am an idiot. I forgot about your special ability.
But yeah, no, it's I really like it. I feel like,
would you play it again? Because I want to play a full game.
I would play it again, yeah. Personally, I feel like the combat is probably the weakest aspect of the game.
Yeah.
Not that the combat is bad, I just feel like it is way too long.
I really like the combat. I like the way it works, but I think like this might be really good like 2 players, you know, because then like there's no one sitting out and waiting.
Yeah.
And the whole game as a whole might actually play faster. I really want to try it 2 players, but I still want to have one of those epic days where we just like go hard and just play the game, you know.
My issue is I think so there are technically 3 rounds of combat. So each round you have your units and they give you a certain amount of die that you can roll for attack, and then those die determine what you have, whether it's attack, defense, or morale. And so you have that, and then once you figure that out, you're like, okay, cool, Roy's got 3 attack and 2 defense, and I've got 4 defense and an attack. So then you're looking through your hand for these cards that will give you an extra attack or an extra this or that, so that you can try to plan out accordingly and try to do what you can to whittle down his defenses. So it's kind of like a war of attrition that's played over 20 minutes of just random card playing. And it's not bad. It's just, I feel like 3 rounds of that is a bit much. Yeah. Just because it takes so long. Like,
well, we were
2 rounds. I feel like
we weren't buying the upgrade cards for those decks because I didn't realize at the time that both of the upgrade cards go in your deck instead of just one. So we're just like, these things are like super expensive. So if we would have known like how those worked and we had someone who literally had much better of a deck, they might have been able to just sweep the board a little bit more.
Oh yeah.
But we were sort of at the point where we're just like evenly matched sort of. So it's kind of like, oh, the combats were very intense and no one died. So
pretty much
interesting.
But yeah, I feel like the combat, while it's not bad, is probably the weakest part, because I feel like there's so much more that you can do that's not combat related that adds a lot of depth to the game.
Yeah.
But, you know.
I definitely love the game. I definitely think it's one of those games that you have to schedule a day to play it. Like, you can't just be like, hey, let's play Forbidden Stars. You need to be like, okay, this is the day we're playing the Forbidden Stars, let's do it. Just like you plan a day for War of the Ring, or you plan a day for some of these other bigger games. It's like...
You probably could with Forbidden Stars, though. You could probably whip it out, and if everybody knew what they were doing, get it done in 2 to 4 hours.
But we didn't finish our game.
I mean, we didn't, but it was also 3 people who don't know what we're doing.
Right.
And,
yeah, I'll be able to teach it so much better next time, so it'll be awesome.
Well, cool. Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun.
I'm sad I didn't get to play. I really wanted to play that game. I bought it. We played the demo at Gen Con, but it was only a round. So
yeah, Forbidden Stars is amazing. I'm going to talk about this game super quick. This is Entropy. It is a light filler-ish game from Rule and Make. Think about like the weight of like Love Letter almost. It is like not too many cards. Like everybody has a hand of 6 action cards, and then there's just a whole bunch of fragments. The story in this game is that you're playing different characters from different realities, and your reality is all like shattered, and you're trying to figure out how to get your reality back together. And in the game, you do this by simultaneously taking actions, trying to draw more fragments from the deck into your pile, and then flip those fragments over to like lock your reality into place. You win the game if you get 4 of your reality parts locked in front of you. So it's a very interesting game. Also, if someone else chooses, like when you're doing the simultaneous action, if someone else chooses the exact same action as you, then you clash, and neither of you get to do that action. So you're trying to figure out how to do a good action, but one that's not like the best action that you think someone else will take, or maybe you're trying to block them, so you purposely pick the one you think they're going to take so they don't win the game. And like there's a whole bunch of like thinking and deduction and maybe even bluffing, like, hey, I'm going to pick this, but that would be the best thing for me to get, but I didn't pick that because you thought I would pick this, so I picked this instead, and now I'm going to do this over here to get this card and flip this card over. It's a lot of interesting card play and stuff in very like few like actual rules. It's not complex at all, and the gameplay is pretty daggone quickly.
Plus the artwork's real nice.
Yeah, the artwork is
very
ridiculous in this game.
Yeah.
And it's like a 15-minute game, so it's like nothing that's like super crazy. And it's from the Australian company Rule and Make. I really enjoyed this game. And we definitely have to play it, like all of us.
It sounds very fun.
Yeah, I just like how you're all playing from different realities, and each one of your characters like kind of matches the reality that they're from. So like the realities look all different. There's one that's more like cyberpunk, and then one's got like these crazy like purple crystals everywhere, and then like one that's just like looks really fantasy-ish. I just love like the look and feel of the game. So if you're looking for something that's like light filler love letter-ish, check out Entropy.
Hopefully, I will like it better than Love Letter.
Dude, I love Love Letter. What's wrong?
Love Letter's not bad.
It's not bad.
I tell you what, Love Letter's fantastic when you haven't slept for 30 plus hours and drove through the night. And you don't know what you're doing. It's like, okay.
It's like,
no, it's not
I
bad.
have a guard. Do you have a guard? I can't do that. Do you have a 3? Okay.
Matt, get out. Matt, get out. You're wrong.
I mean, it's not bad. I think I would rather play a social deduction game. You know, it's just me. I'd rather play Werewolf.
The one thing though about Love Letter that's nicer than Werewolf is
you don't really have to
time.
explain
you literally
like
can
anything.
Play Love Letter in 5 minutes.
You can be like, hey, you have one card, you draw a card. That's what you do.
Yeah.
Like you don't even have to explain the intricacies of like a social deduction game. You just be like, well, let's play this game. Let's play it now, and you're pretty much ready to go.
Yeah. It's not bad. It's just not my favorite.
Awesome.
It's not my favorite, but I bought it. I have Batman Love Letter.
I have multiple
Nice.
copies.
I haven't played it yet, but I kind of hope the princess is Robin. I think that'd be funny.
I just hope Bruce Wayne's dead parents are somewhere in that.
The princess in that one is actually the Joker.
Oh.
I'm gonna have to look through the cards.
Yeah, it's awesome. I've played so much Love Letter that like I have the Legend of the Five Rings one. I have the original one. I printed out a Adventure Time one like way before they actually had an Adventure Time one, and then I like made my own not Game of Thrones one. I made my own.
No, we played Game of Thrones.
Yeah, we had a Game of Thrones one. I found that online somewhere, but then also I made my own Twilight Imperium version of Rex. That had all the different like factions from Twilight Imperium, and like Mechatol Rex was like the 8, so you're like trying to end with Mechatol Rex. It was pretty thematic and funny, but my graphic design skills aren't the best, so it was kind of meh. But it was still silly.
What's terrible about Love Letter is I could not explain right now how to play it because the only time I played, I don't remember half of that day. So it's like if you ask me right now, let's play Love Letter, I'd be like, Roy, how do we play?
Literally, you start with a card in your hand, draw a card, and play one of the two. That's how you play. And hopefully you'll either knock somebody else out, or when the game ends, the entire deck's empty, then whoever has the highest number. That's the entire rules. There you go.
I think I remember that.
It's awesome. But yeah, fun little game. Cool, so our topic for tonight is Finite games, which is something I just made up. But we're describing that as games that can't be played a infinite number of times. So legacy games, time stories style games, or other like super scenario driven type games would be more like a finite game. So basically, yeah. So a finite game is a game that you play through it one time, or play through it multiple times, and after you get to the end, the game itself is done. So you would have to either buy another copy or buy something to expand it more to be able to continue to play it, because you've gone through the story and it's done with. So what are some examples of finite games, Rob?
Risk Legacy, and then there's Risk Legacy. There's really not a lot of finite games out there, but I think I've played Risk Legacy more than there are finite games out there.
Yeah, you see a lot more of this if you're like playing a like role playing game, people will buy like a session for the role playing game. You can get like a scenario book like for a role playing game, and it's like, okay, you play through the scenario. Well, you're not going to play through that scenario over and over again. I mean, maybe you will years later, but you've kind of like played through that. But other ones, of course, are time stories, because once you play through it and solve it, it's so thematic and awesome, it's kind of hard to forget
it's done
what you did. And it's just like, man, I remember that because it was awesome. I could still, I honestly just want, I kind of want to speed run the first scenario because I think that would be fun. Just be like, guys, let's play it again and try to speed run it. Like, because I don't know exactly the most optimal way to do everything. That might be kind of interesting. Yeah. But I also have the Marcy case that I still need to play, so I'd rather just play that.
I think the new one's supposed to come out, or has come out.
It is really coming out soon. In February in America. It is out in Europe right now, so okay. I've seen a bunch of people, and several people have put their reviews up for it. Apparently, it has some more options that kind of make it a little bit more replayable from what I've read. So there's different things that make it so you have to go through. It's also supposed to be a lot longer because there's like 3 decks of cards instead of just like 2 or 1. So looks pretty awesome.
Sweet.
But yeah.
There's also Pandemic Legacy, which is the #1 game right now on Board Game Geek. But the reason why Pandemic Legacy and Risk Legacy are Finite games is you do play multiple versions of that game, and you can continue to play after you're done. However, the board is manipulated in such a way that any new person coming to play that game won't understand the characteristics or the decisions that were made to get you there. So that's why they're finite games where, like my Risk Legacy boards are so marked up that they're done. Like there's no reason to play them afterwards. And I think Pandemic Legacy is going to be the same, especially with some of those little stickers that we saw, which I won't say. But you know, the one with the thing, and then the other one with the ha, and then the one with the
my goodness, and the stuff. Yeah. Oh man.
Yes. Some of them were really cool, especially when you get down to the 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 thing. You know what I'm talking? It's like, anyway, yeah. So I'm really excited for this.
I don't think anybody understood what you're saying. Not even me.
I know, and no, you know what I'm talking. You don't know. You may not have seen the stickers, Matt. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I think I know what you're talking about.
There's certain things that happen once you get to the 2 level, 3 level.
Yeah. But yeah, that's gonna be awesome.
Bad stuff. Anyway, I'm excited.
Okay.
So, what do you like? What do you like about Legacy or Time Stories ish mechanics, Matt?
So, I think for me, it's that the board game in and itself tells a story and has a specific narrative that is going to be different each time you play through it. To that end, though, since you can only play through a board pretty much once, you're kind of limited in like the story that board tells. However, you can easily, like Rob did, like Rob pulled Roy's Risk Legacy board out and was looking at it. And Roy hasn't finished that board or even played it in a long time. Yes. But like Rob was looking at it and like it was like bringing back memories from other boards that he'd had and stuff. And it's like you can definitely tell that there is a story and an experience tied to this board. So it's very like specific. So it's like if you read a book, you can go back and look at that book and be like, oh man, I remember that this happened. And then this was going, it's like, it's concrete, it's set in stone. It's something that you can easily look back on and be like, that was good, that was fun. Remember that, remember this. Yeah. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I love a lot of, especially for like the legacy style games is extremely strong, is like the ability to upgrade things permanently that stay from game to game. And I can see a little bit of this actually even happening in Time Stories. From scenario to scenario, there'll be a little bit of stuff happening. But it's really cool that like you permanently change things. You permanently put a sticker on the board, so now there's a scar there forever. And like if you go in there, if you're on this side of that scar, you're always going to have minus to your dice, or maybe you have plus over here because there's like a certain fortification, or maybe your character's upgraded in a specific way that if somebody else played that game, they could have upgraded something completely different. And then the fact of with like the legacy stuff, you can actually just straight up name your characters whatever you want. It's pretty exciting.
Oh yeah.
What do you think, Rob?
I love the severity of the decisions.
Yeah.
Like when we played Pandemic Legacy, we did something and it caused us to rip up a card. And that card, I tore it up. We can never get that card back. It's gone.
Yeah.
And the same thing with Risk Legacy. You know, whenever we made a decision, it permanently affected the game, and either in a good way or in a bad way. And this is not a spoiler, but Matt mentioned I looked at Roy's old Risk Legacy board. It brought me back to Greenland. I remember making a decision, and one of the first boards I ever played a Risk Legacy, and the decision I made was fantastic for that game. But 3 games down the line, it ended up costing me the game. That same decision I made that helped me, and so I love that idea that the decisions you make and the manipulations that you make to the game and to the board so definite. It's just like it's done, and I love that, because you can't manipulate it. Like you can kind of learn the rules of certain games and try to go around them, but with games like this, once you've made that decision, it's there. It's that's the new rule. So I love that. Just the investment that you're going to make in the game, the choices, decisions that you make.
I think the other thing that's really neat about these is that they play almost like video games in a sense, as opposed to like board games where, there's a lot of the board games that we play are very story driven. So I don't necessarily feel the sort of trepidation I do when I play like Euro games, where I'm not like, I don't really feel tied to the game at all. A lot of the Ameritrash games that we play actually have decent narratives. I feel that that's not a good example, but I don't know. Like Finite games have this feeling of like playing Fallout, where it's like you go to this place and then you kill that dude, and then you go across the wasteland, and there's somebody who's like, "So I heard you killed Bob." And you're like, oh, okay, I'm not welcome here. I just need to leave. This is terrifying.
That's awesome.
And it's like it has that feeling because it will let you just rip it apart, and that's like its entire design is just wreck it just for pure story aspects, and I don't know, it's real good.
But it will remember that you wrecked it, just like they remembered you killed Bob. Like, okay, go ahead and do this, sure.
And there's no way to go. There's no way to go back. It's not like you can in like video games where it's like quick save, quick load, until you get what you want. It's just like, oh, you made that decision. Well, I mean, your dad's gonna be real mad that you blew up Megaton. It's rough.
There's definitely like a deep narrative in games, especially like the time stories aspect, where it's like the fact that you're only playing through it once and they're not even trying to make the game really replayable. They're just trying to make this deep immersive story, just makes it feel like you're actually doing the stuff there, which is pretty ridiculous for a board game, because normally you're just moving pieces around and doing different things. But the fact that you're like reading these cards out and looking at them, and like the decisions you make can cost you, like making you have to do it over again, because it's all like time travel and you're looping back through, so you're trying to make the correct decisions, and in that game there's actually Bob is like the first person you ever meet, and there's this guy that'll get mad at you if you don't do things correctly, so you just really don't want to let him down. So and you can just see like all the different ways they could do this, and it's like, man, what's gonna happen in this game, like what's next. Like I feel like there's probably like a huge overarching story for the whole thing, not just like this scenario or that scenario. There's probably like a storyline throughout the entire like time stories thing, and it's just like going to be extremely epic when we actually uncover all that.
Time Stories also does a very good job of kind of taking some of the game aspects out of it and giving it to the players. And what I mean by that is, since you can only look at a card and paraphrase what it says to everybody else, unless somebody else is in the same space looking at the same thing as you are, it sets up the game and then uses human interaction to force you to make decisions and stuff. So it just lays everything out at your disposal, and then you literally pick where to go and what to do. And if you see something, you might say it's this, and then when somebody else looks at it, they might be like, oh, well, no, I think it's this. And then the game itself can change just even based off who you're playing with, which is super interesting to me.
Awesome. Do you think not being able to play a game an infinite number of times is a bad thing? There's a ton of people on the internet who get super upset and say, oh my gosh, I want my board games to be able to be in my collection forever and be able to play them over and over and over again, and I'm losing so much value if I can't play this game an infinite number of times, as many times as I want.
they're not going to be the people that buy these games anyway. So what does it matter? They're not making the game for those people. The game is not made for that one guy who doesn't want to rip up the card. The game is made for those people that want to take a chance and go and have a story. And plus, the good thing about these games is they are so few and far between that these games that have come out have been amazing. And they wouldn't be as big if they weren't amazing. Pandemic Legacy wouldn't be number one if it wasn't amazing. People wouldn't be going crazy about Time Stories if it wasn't amazing and all these other stuff. I like Risk Legacy. I like Area Control. But Risk Legacy is what set up a lot of these games you talk about now. It was an amazing game for what it did. So all those people that want to complain and say those things, fine. It's not going to be in your collection anyway. Right. You're just trying to be a troll on the internet. It wasn't going to be for you. They didn't make the game for you. Bye, Felicia. It's one of those things where don't get it. But I will tell you this. If you're willing to invest in that, it's better than any movie you're going to go see. You go see a movie now, you go on a date with your significant other, it's going to be 40 or 50 bucks. You do the same with the game is going to last longer, and you'll probably remember that game more than you did that movie. And usually the game you can include more than just you and your significant other. So these are absolutely amazing. I don't think it's a problem. The only way I see it ever becoming a problem is if somebody makes a broken game and it gets a lot of hype and it gets a lot of media coverage and a lot of people buy it, and then we all find out at the same time that it's broken. But that hasn't happened yet. These companies play test these games too many times, and there's too many podcasts out there like ours and others that will review these games and destroy them if they are broken.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, no, it's not a bad thing. It is an investment, but it's a lot of fun, and I don't forget the games that I played, and I don't think I ever will. And I still have copies of Risk Legacy, multiple copies in my collection because of the memories that I made. Just like I don't think Roy will ever get rid of his Time Stories because of the memories that he's made. He may not be able to play through it again, but that doesn't mean he's going to get rid of it because that box has a connection with his memory of a good time. So,
and I definitely want to keep it because the difference in between Time Stories and Pandemic Legacy is in Time Stories, like, you don't actually change any of the stuff. So I know what happens, but I can totally have someone else play it. I totally want to make my family run through it. I totally want to make like other people run through it to see their reactions and have them glean some of the awesome and joy that I found through the storytelling of the game. But yeah, it's pretty awesome stuff. I mean, I have tons of games back there that are infinitely replayable. Like, I understand if you like barely have a collection at all, maybe you don't want to spend the 35 or 40 or 50 bucks or whatever for the game because you don't have a whole lot of other games that are like that. I mean, maybe wait a little while before getting one of these games, but I have a lot of games I can just play over and over and over again. Every game doesn't have to be the exact same thing or be exactly what you're used to. These awesome new and innovating games are going to like progress the board gaming in general, like, into the future, and it's pretty awesome.
Time Stories is just a brilliant example of game design because it takes the whole like legacy mechanic and that the game isn't replayable and then like makes it to where it technically can be replayable for people who just haven't played it. Yeah. So you're not destroying anything, you're not putting stickers on anything. It is a game, it tells a story, but it can be replayable for different groups of people. And they have expansions built in so that you can do like whatever, and they can just keep adding to the game. It has a system that you can just pause essentially and put it up and then come back at a later date if you happen to run a little longer. How amazing is that? It's insane to think about the amount of just like sheer work that went into that design process. Not to like slant on any legacy games at all, because they take a lot of design, just focus to get through anyway. But like Time Stories is just kind of, for me, on a different level just because of the amount of stuff that's in it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So anyway, I think we're all in agreement that it's not a bad thing because we haven't experienced that bad game yet.
Nice. Do you think that having spoilers in a game, like we can't even express how these games are amazing because we can't talk about a lot of the really good parts that make them great. Do you think having spoilers in a game can hurt a game itself? I can't tell you because that would be a spoiler. No, I'm just kidding.
Right? Sure, they can, just like somebody can spoil a movie for you, but I think a lot of it depends on the person. For example, you can tell me the cliffhanger to X movie, I'm still going to watch X movie because I'm still a fan.
Yeah.
You could tell me the cliffhanger to X game, I'm probably still going to play it because it's not just the ending, but I want the experience and the story that goes with it. But I am different. I know a lot of my friends, if I say anything about a movie before they see it, they flip out. They do not want to hear a single thing. So it can be bad. But don't tempt yourself. If you're wanting to play a game like Time Stories, don't go and try to read reviews and stuff of it online. Stay away from the spoilers. You're only playing with fire. So
Exactly. I guess one thing could be if you don't know if you really want the game good enough. People trying to avoid spoilers can't really tell you exactly the whole game, so you don't know exactly what you're getting. But if you see like tons of amazing reviews and everybody's like loving it, maybe that you have to like take a little bit of a leap of faith and not know exactly 100% exactly what's all in the game, and you have to give it enough of a chance to be like, oh, this is why they like it. This is why it's amazing.
Yeah.
And hopefully there's enough people out there talking about it that can give you that opinion or let you see that in the game. But yeah, because most games, they'll just show you exactly how the entire game is played from start to finish in a review or in a playthrough or whatever. But for these games, you can't really do that without ruining the game for yourself. What do you think, Matt?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't think it's that bad of a thing because I mean, there are spoilers in literally anything that has a story, whether it be books, TV, movies, whatever. I mean, but we still have them. People still enjoy them. Same thing with games. It's just like Rob said. You know, if you're concerned about it, just be a bit cautious with what you go into. And there should be places that do reviews for games like Time Stories that lay out how the mechanics work, but don't necessarily spoil anything about how the story progresses or plays through.
I will say the best place for that is the Dice Tower. Tom does a really good job explaining Time Stories, but he does not give away any spoilers or anything. So I would check them out.
And don't be a guy standing around while other people are at work that just completely spoil things for other people.
Yeah, man. Good times.
Matt, are you ever going to go see Star Wars?
I don't know.
Did you?
I mean, I know it happened, so I don't know why it matters. I've essentially watched the movie.
It still matters.
It's pretty good. You still go watch it. But yeah, Matt's kind of salty on Star Wars because he was like working and some random person just started shouting spoilers to Star Wars.
I was supposed to leave an hour earlier, and they were like, "Hey, can you stay and help this other team?" And I was like, "Yeah, man, I can do that." So I'm just like sitting there, just doing stuff on the floor, and somebody just walks by and's like, "Hey, man, said this thing," and I was just like, "Did
he say it to you, or did he say
no,
it to someone else?"
He was talking to another person very loudly.
Nice.
And I was just like, "Did I? What? Huh?"
Oh no!
No.
It'd be so funny if you think it's a spoiler and it's totally not. Like it's not even something that.
Oh, so that's immediately what I did. I went to somebody who's seen the movie and I was like, "Hey, I heard this thing. Is that?" And they were like, "Oh, I'm sorry." And I'm like,
"Oh
okay,
no,
cool. I'm gonna go home."
They shouldn't have set you up like that. They should have just been like, "I guess you'll have to watch it to find out."
I would have probably punched them.
It would be so mean, but kind of awesome at the same time if somebody at y'all's work got on the intercom and just like spoiled a movie on Monday.
Bruce Willis at the end of Sixth Sense is
yeah, Sixth Sense. Hey everybody, he's dead. And then just like
I'll just be like, guys, guess what happens at the end of Ex Machina? But nobody watched that movie. So.
I watched that movie. That movie was awesome.
It's phenomenal. I love that movie so much.
I love that movie. I thought she did a fantastic job, and he did as well.
I was hoping it was going to end that way too, because I like open endings for movies.
Well, it had to. I mean, she played the game all the way out. She did it. It was so great. Spoilers. She gets out.
Rob, calm down.
Such a good movie. Still worth seeing. I don't care. You could tell me that right now if I hadn't seen it. I'd still watch it. It is a really good movie. And I love the concept.
Very well. And I don't know, the cinematography is real good.
And who's to say stuff like that hasn't really happened in real life? Think about that. Let's get off of board games for a second. Who's to say that there's not AI walking around right now that we don't know about? Because
Step one.
if it's half the smart, it's gonna know that we're gonna flip out and try to kill it. Everyone's gonna think Arnold and destroy it. So no, it's gonna keep quiet. Who's to say it's not? Who's to say it's not Mark Street? If Mark Street's listening right now, who's to say he's not the AI in Colorado right now, up in the mountains?
Rob's
and he's really
Rob's
not even
gonna
a
have to
real
get his Cylon detector. Every single person, he's gonna be like, "Are you a Cylon? Are you a Cylon?" He's gonna have his tinfoil hat on.
He's just
He's gonna be
walking
like,
around with a
No,
fork.
no, no, no.
He's gonna be like, "I need a blood sample right now."
Here's what's gonna happen. I will do that, but then as soon as I find out you are, I'm like, "Can you make me one? Can you make me one, please? What do I gotta do? What do I gotta do to get in the club?"
I mean,
So you're telling me there's a
I thought-
mothership where I can make bad mistakes, die, and come back from the mothership? Sure, yeah. Where do I sign up?
Oh, so dumb.
No, that's awesome. So next question.
How can playing through a game and that being the end be a good thing?
I think we've already answered this. What's the stories and the experiences? It's just like when your favorite TV show ends on Netflix and you've done binge watching it or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, you find something else. Yeah, if it's good, it's going to have good closure. If it's good, you're supposed to be emotional at the end of it, whether it's a good emotional or an upset emotional. The story, the creativity part of the game did its job if it left you wanting, whether good wanting or a bad wanting.
I mean,
so,
I don't think you can tell as good of a story in a game that's just replayable over and over again. Like, a story isn't going to be as good the, like, 37th time you've heard it. Like, especially if there's, like, plot twists and hooks and, like, different things. And I don't think it's going to be as deep, or at least it won't be as deep when you've played it over and over and over again. The fact that the game ends, it's like, okay, well, that's the end of this. And, like, that's awesome. Like, that was emotional and deep and like took you through this epic adventure basically. So
boom.
Yep.
What kind of game would you like to see made into a legacy or one-time playthrough game? Rob's flipping out already.
I am excited, but now I want to hear what your guys' answers are because I don't want you to choose mine. But I was really excited when I got this email and I saw this question because I was like, I've already thought about this and I already know what my answer would be.
Roy, you go first. I need to think.
My answer off the top of my head. So I've been listening to a lot of Lovecraft audiobooks, like and I just listened to like the Dunwich Horror the other day. And, like, there's a ton of, like, really good, like, storytelling Lovecraft games, like Arkham Horror and Eldritch Horror and all that stuff. But, like, they don't really capture, like,
Mansions of Madness.
And Mansions of Madness. Mansions of Madness probably is one of the best because a lot of those scenarios are pretty much one-time playthrough. Once you've played that scenario, you kind of know what's going on. So, like, the story in that is pretty deep. But I'd really like to see, like, a deep, like, Lovecraftian legacy game where things carry on and there's a narrative that is like really deep and it could actually give you the heebly-jeeblies.
Okay.
But yeah, that would be pretty awesome. Even though people say there's way too many Lovecraft games, everything's Cthulhu, make Cthulhu stop. Like, I mean, it's actually pretty good stuff. I think a lot of the people that are saying that haven't even like read or like actually paid attention to any of the actual mythos of it. It's pretty cool.
You ready, Matt, or do you want me to go?
Nope.
Okay, so here's my game that I would love to see as a legacy game. I would love to see Dead of Winter as a legacy game. If you made the decision to exile somebody and then you had to replay that game and they started already exiled and then they had to try to come back or they had to try to now sabotage the group, or if you played a game and let's say you ran out of cards in the police station and the police station burns down and now you got to find another place that opens up through searching and stuff like that. And then as characters die, they're gone. The great thing about Dead of Winter is you start off with a bunch of characters. And so, you know, I could see the consequences of once they're gone, they don't get to come back to the next game. They're just done. And you have to you would play the game over the course of a winter. So you would play like December through the end of February. And
You
let's
just try
just
to
say
have
you
at
broke it up.
least one survivor left by the end.
Right? Yeah. But no, you have to try to have Survivor and however you'd want to do it. But just the idea of I mean, if you think a game, not Game of Thrones, if you think of The Walking Dead, the decisions they make are so crazy, but they have to do it sometimes because where do you go? Do you go through the burning building or do you run through the horde of zombies? Sometimes you go through the burning building because your chances are better than running through 100 zombies without any weapons. And so, how would you do that in this type of game? What do you do when you run out of food and all this other kind of stuff? I really
It
think
definitely
that
would be cool with like upgrading like the base
Oh,
or whatever, and
yes.
having that carry on from game to game. If there were like
Yes.
really thematic ways to do that. So,
Yeah. Or and then being able to pick up supplies. So let's say you do run out of cards, and let's say Matt's character goes from the police station to the gas station. On his way, he dies. Now those cards are left there, and you're able to pick them up. And so that way you're not ever really out of stuff, but you have this idea of consequences, and it's just I am so stoked for that. I would love that so much, and I'm so excited for the expansion that's coming out for Dead of Winter. They just released the box art cover, and quick shout out to Ashes, the guy in the upper right hand corner. If you look at his
Yeah,
hat
yeah.
that he's wearing, it's got the Ashes symbol on it. So I'm excited for that. But man, Isaac, I'm going to ask you this. So do some show prep. I'm going to ask you this when you come back on the show soon. Why don't you do a legacy game? Because Rob Davio, Seafall is being produced by Plaid Hat Games, even
Yep,
though Rob
yep.
Davio's doing it, or published by them. So I would love to see that happen.
And I think they're
Wouldn't
trying.
that be amazing?
I
Wouldn't
think-
that be so
I
awesome?
haven't. Yeah, no, that's a really good idea, actually.
Yes.
And I saw online somewhere that they're trying to have Seafall out at Gen Con. Did you see that, Rob?
Don't shut up. That was the excuse I made to go to the very first Gen Con I went to.
Oh, it was because of Seafall?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I bought my ticket in February because it was supposed to come out at that Gen Con, and I was like, great, I'm buying my ticket. And then like a couple months later, yeah, Seafall's still in production. It's not coming out. Blah, blah, blah.
Mr.
And I'm glad
Davio
I had a blast.
owes you a high five or something.
I even went to Gen Con last year, and I was asking them, so guys, any word on Seafall? And they're like, Brian. I think we were talking to Brian in the line. He was like, yeah, no. Maybe next year. I'm like, oh, you suck.
Nice.
Well, I mean, it's a legacy game. The amount of work that they have to put into it to make sure
Well,
it is.
he's saying it's his best legacy game.
Well, I mean, but the other, like, the amount of like playthroughs and just retooling and
Yeah.
like sanding and fine printing everything.
You have to
ridiculous, 'cause
account
it has to be
for
perfect.
you have to account for all the crazy things people are going to try to do in that sort of game. So
It has to be
You're
like
literally
almost airtight.
you're literally play testing. Let's just say there's 10 different games that you do, like Risk Legacy does 15. You literally have to do 10 plus playthroughs of 10 individual games because the second game is already going to be different and manipulated than the first game.
Well,
I
on top
can
of that
add
is
to that
a lot of
process.
times you have to switch out like the test groups because especially with stuff like time stories, you can't like make an adjustment and have them go back through it because it won't be fresh and new to them. Like you have to put it in front of a completely new group and have them play it to test
Yeah.
it out properly because they might make completely different decisions based on the tweak that you made. You know. So,
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
I'm excited. I hope I get to meet Rob. I haven't been able to meet him yet.
Nice. Matt, what do you think as far as what would you like to see made into a legacy game?
Man, I didn't think of anything. So, I don't know.
Rob is working
I mean-
with that one team on that game. Was it called like Origins or something like that? That one game that's supposed to be like a civilization like legacy game where you start and have like a civilization and like at the beginning of the game I heard one like example of like you'll have this thing and you can like name like your god or whatever and then like you go further along and like you'll find like temples that are like to that guy that you named way back when or whatever and like it's like a civilization style building up but it's like a legacy game that continues on, so that sounds pretty interesting.
I feel like the thing, and it's going to be very close to what Rob was saying, was like a game that has a trader mechanic like Dead of Winter, but more in the Lost in Space theme,
Yeah.
or like tool it to where it's like almost like the movie Sunshine, something like that, where it's like you have to go out and do something, or you're trying to find a new home, or something like that, or even like Battlestar Galactica without all of the crazy stuff.
Yeah.
I think you can tool it back and make it just people on a ship, and
Trying to survive.
And it can still be equally as scary and terrifying. The only other thing I can think about, and I don't even remember the name of it, there is somewhere on the internet, there is a website that has a bunch of weird things on it that people write. And essentially, the basis of it is there's this...
Wikipedia?
No. Technically, yes. But the basis of it is there is this big foundation somewhere that kind of keeps all of this crazy evil stuff and protects it from everybody. But essentially the website is just people write articles about these crazy things and like why it's being kept here. So like one of them, I think one of my favorite ones was there's a toaster that after prolonged exposure to the toaster makes everybody think they're a toaster. And it's just like, it's just weird stuff like that I think if you just worked in that situation and like all of a sudden your character now thinks he's a toaster, like I don't know.
He's like shoving bread in his mouth but not like eating it and then just popping it out with his tongue.
there is stuff that's like super dangerous in there and like less lighthearted than a toaster that makes people think they're toasters. But I don't even remember the name of it, and it makes me really mad because I think that would be really neat if you were just like a janitor or some sort of repairman in this like crazy facility, and then all of a sudden like everything breaks and you're like, oh god, what's happening? And you just have to try and survive and like barricade yourself off from these potentially very dangerous things. I think that would be really, really neat.
That's awesome.
I don't know. But no actual games, so hooray.
Well, not hooray. It's just, I mean, you're still kind of new to all this.
Yeah.
So, and you just saw the question, what, like 10 seconds ago? 30 seconds ago?
So, Rob, should people give these games a chance?
If I haven't been clear earlier in the podcast, I would say yes. Yes, yes, yes. Give them a chance. Now, if you are an OCD, paranoid type of person because your card gets wrinkled or bent, then don't. But if you're looking to have an amazing time, if you're looking to have a fun story, and if you're looking to have good memories with board games, then absolutely give these games a chance. They're going to do everything that we've said and more because it's going to be to your personal experience and to your personal touch. And everything that we've talked about so far has been the truth from our point of view. We have enjoyed them. They're beautiful games. The mechanics are fantastic. The time and dedication that they put into these games to make sure that it works after the second and after the third and after the fourth game, I think it's well worth your money. If you think on all the other money or all the other games that you've played once that you spent $40 or $50 on that you haven't played again, that you could play again compared to this game that you could spend $30, $40, $50 on that you could only play once, this game is going to be a better game. It's going to be a more sound game too. So,
and with those legacy games, it's like you're playing through the game like 15 plus times normally.
So you're getting more than your money's worth.
I was going to say that's probably the thing we haven't mentioned at all this podcast that we should, even though it might be like a $50 to $60 entry point. You can play it as little as 12 times, but as many as 24 times in terms of Pandemic Legacy, and each of those takes like an hour and a half to play through. So like it is very meaty and time consuming. It's not like you're paying $60 for a game that you're going to play for 30 minutes and go, cool, well, let's burn that.
Yeah.
So
boom, what Matt said.
Even if you're OCD and don't like ripping up cards and stuff, buy it anyway, because once you rip it up, you can throw it away, and out of sight is out of mind.
No, but then that person would get it out of the trash can, tape it back together, and then they wouldn't like the tape job, so they'd end up printing it from a PDF file online, and then they won't like that, and so then they'll be mad, and then they'll just troll online. These games are dumb, I'm giving it a 0.
Yeah, I've seen things where people are like, "Hey, could you like laminate the board and use like dry erase to like make it so you can redo the game?" No,
Nope.
not in a legacy game. You can't.
That's not what this game is for. And we apologize if that offends you. You can spend the time and effort to do that, but that's not what this game is for. This game is to teach you how to make a decision and to live with your decision, good or bad. You're an adult. If you eat at McDonald's every day, you're going to look like me. So,
that has nothing to do with legacy games. It's just a thing you wanted to add in real quick.
No, but it does have to do with decisions that people make, and that's another thing I like about legacy games is because you do have to live with those decisions. It's almost a reflection on human life, in a way. you can't replay Matt Robbins. You can't replay Roy Kennedy or Robert Newman. We are who we are, and that's what these games in a way do. You can't replay them. It's the decision that you made, and so I love it. I love the consequences in the man, what's the word I'm looking for? The not harshness, but I don't know, the nakedness it makes you feel, because it's just so raw and deep. It's amazing. I love it.
Awesome.
Boom. I'll drop my pen.
As far as time stories go, it's a significantly less play time. But I think you can get the game for a little bit less. Like you can get the game for like $33 online, or $30 online.
But also,
and not only
that, it's coming out with expansions,
right? So in that game, like you're buying the console to plug all these different stories and expansions into. So when you get the core set, you're trying to have something that you can put more stories into, that they can take anywhere. I think Time Stories, I said it was like my favorite co-op ever, but it's just because there's so much cooperation you have to do in that game. Like, you have to work together. Like, we were literally, like, all huddled around the game trying to figure it out. Like, what do we do here? What should we do? How do we save the most time? Like, should we do that or should we not do that? Guys, I don't think that's a good idea. That's going to waste time, or maybe we should go back here. And we're working together as a collective group because we don't all have all the information, so we have to put the information that we have together. And I think it's great, and I think people should try it out.
The other thing too, if you play video games at all, you buy Time Stories for $30 to $35, and that's essentially your $60 AAA game. And then you buy each expansion for $15 to $20 a piece, which is the same price as the expansions on your AAA games.
Your DLC that you're
So it's automatically cheaper than like a video game. So, just give it a go. If you don't like it, hey man, you don't like it. You can trade it to somebody, throw it away, whatever. I don't know.
You're so amazing, Matt Robbins.
Awesome. So,
thanks, buddy.
Tell us an epic story about playing a Finite game. And should we preface with spoiler alerts? I'm not going to say anything that'll mess anything up for Rob, but
I'm not going to say anything.
You're not going to say anything crazy? Okay.
I mean, I want to so badly, but then last couple times I've tried to, you guys were like, no.
I mean, I don't care if you say anything about Risk Legacy. Honestly, I listened to a spoiler podcast about that already, so I know a lot of what's in Risk Legacy, even though it hasn't actually happened. So, I mean, it's whatever.
We can just preface it with this. Just, ladies and gentlemen of the podcast, from this point forward, spoilers are in effect. If you don't want them, don't listen. Goodbye.
You're just talking about Risk Legacy, right, Rob?
Yeah, I mean, that's my story that I could go into. Do you want to say your story or anything?
I'm good. Any stories I'd want to tell would have to make Rob leave the room, because he hasn't played Time Stories yet. Wah, wah. Okay. And maybe we'll do like a spoiler podcast eventually about Time Stories at some point, but who knows?
Okay, well, do you guys want me to say this?
Do it, man.
Okay,
spoiler alert.
Myself, my friend Lee, his son Jeremy, our other friend Jeremy, and then our friend Kenneth were all playing Risk Legacy. My friend Jeremy, Lee's son, had all of Africa as his starting continent, and it was absolutely just full of people, right? And then my buddy Kenneth had all of Europe. And Kenneth and Jeremy were fighting each other because, they're bordering, and that's, if you get Europe as a continent bonus, that's 5+ people. That's a big continent bonus for the game.
Right.
And so they're fighting back and forth, and they're fighting over, I can't remember the country's name. But let's just say Southern Europe. There's this one little. It's Southern Europe. There's like 3 different areas on the Risk Legacy board that connect Asia and Europe to Africa, and this was the middle one. And so we were doing the part of the game, and this was like game 4 or game 5, where the game said if somebody's already signed the board, and if 3 nukes are in the game,
I know what this is.
You get to do this certain thing, and we were like, "Man, that's a big part. Let's do this." So,
spoiler alert again.
Spoiler alert. Kenneth was defending, and Jeremy took his 3 guys into this one area, into Europe, to try to start taking this over. And Jeremy threw down a nuke to be able to get a 6. Well, Kenneth didn't have a nuke, and Jeremy didn't have another nuke, but I had a nuke, and Jeremy's dad, Lee, had a nuke. And I looked at him, I was like, bro, throw in your nuke right now. I'll throw in my nuke right now. We'll be able to open this box. So all 3 nukes will be played in this one battle. Because with the nukes on Risk Legacy, you can use them on other people's battles. You don't have to use them on your own. So we're like, if you do this right now, we can blow this up. And so at first, Kenneth is like, don't do it, guys. Please don't do it. Please don't do it. Don't do it. I have a bad feeling. And me and Lee were like, we don't care. Like, I'm in South America. He's in Australia. So, like, we're on the opposite sides of the board. We don't care. And Jeremy, his son, he was like, you know what? Sure, go ahead, do it. So 3 nukes are used on this one battle. Now, mind you, all of Europe was full of people. All of Africa is full of people. What happens when you use the 3 nukes, you all of a sudden open up this pack, and what you just did is you caused a nuclear holocaust. It's one of the very big packs. You open up a brand new faction. You get this new faction, and the faction is there, the mutant faction. And there's so much radiation now. Now mutants and zombie-like creatures have spawned from this. And you get this huge sticker. I mean, it's a huge sticker. It's bigger than a half 50-cent piece. It's a really big sticker. You put it on the board, and now that place is impassable. Anything that was on that spot is immediately removed from the game. So if you had a headquarters there, it's gone. If you had any troops there, it's gone. Then you take dice, and any area that is connected to that area, you roll a dice. And whatever you roll, that many troops are gone. Now, both of their areas were absolutely full of people. I'm not lying. The lowest die roll they rolled was a 5. Everybody going around was just absolutely destroyed. It was so amazing. It was, I think, 7 places in total. So it was over 40 guys. It was a lot. No, it was over 35. It was so many people were destroyed from this one thing, and this new faction was able to come out on the board. And the new nuke faction, the mutant faction, they have great powers, and new scars were put on the board where now you can have radiation that completely manipulates the board, just like the other scars in the game does. It completely changes the game because now no one can ever start in that area that has the big sticker on it. And if your men ever go through that area, just by entering that area, you immediately lose half of your army. So it basically turns that one state into a dead zone. You really don't want anybody to be there unless you're the mutants. The mutants, it doesn't really affect you, but everybody else, it does. So what we in essence did is we literally turned Europe into a wasteland. Because if you can't have the continent bonus of Europe, unless you're the mutants, if you can't use that continent bonus, why try to go for such an area that's right in the middle of the board that everyone's going to attack you from all sides? And so we literally turned Europe into a wasteland, and it basically became the starting area for the mutants for that game, because they were the only ones that really weren't affected by that. And completely changed the game, where now instead of we're all fighting in the middle of the board, now everyone's fighting on the borders because nobody wants to go through Europe or Africa. I mean, we used Africa a lot more now because Europe was pretty much done, but it was so amazing. And I just remember everybody's faces. Like our friend Kenneth, he got so sad because he didn't want it to happen, and then it happened to him anyway, and he lost pretty much everything. Like, he didn't lose his HQ, but he lost the majority of his army because the majority of his army was in the southern part of Europe defending against Africa. And not only did he lose everybody that was on that spot.
Did he play the mutants a lot after that?
No. Well, here's the thing. After that happens, that also changes certain ways that you start the game also. And so it manipulated that. Have you gotten to that yet, where you can manipulate how you start the game?
No.
No? All right, I won't go into that spoiler.
No, it's fine.
But it changes the way that you start. But we never let him get them, just because the mutants, they're a very powerful faction. They have some really cool abilities. They have good things and they have bad things. But they are a very powerful faction, and they're a lot of fun. And what's cool is their tanks aren't tanks. Their tanks are dump trucks. So you see these guys running around with their hands lifted in the air, and their tank vehicles are dump trucks. And so everybody wanted to play with the dump trucks. So you're just running around with these dump trucks. And yeah, we had a blast.
And that's only one of the 2 like giant boxes in there. So it's kind of like, what? That's amazing.
Well, that, and then there's 4 other packets that you have to open, and then there's the packet underneath the game. I love that game. It's so amazing, so much fun. But I just remember everybody's face was like, oh my gosh, that place is blowing up. And they lost so many people. And me and Lee were just laughing. We're just laughing. We can't help it because it's like you watch your friend get hit by a car and he's okay, but you're still laughing because he got hit by a car. It was that bad. It was just... I remember Kenneth wanted to go home after we did that. He really wanted to leave. And everybody else... Jeremy was okay with it because he wanted to do the nuke. But Kenneth, he was pretty upset. He was
awesome.
He was so great.
The salt was real.
I love your analogies because they make you seem like you're a bad person, but you're not. It's just you go to the absolute extreme with your analogies, and it's wonderful.
Well, thank you.
Awesome. Well, I'm not going to share any epic stories about time stories. It's way too new to give too many spoilers. So
yeah, Risk Legacy came out in 2011. So
yeah.
It's been a while.
That's ancient at this point. 5 years? What?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Good times.
Was there anything else you guys want to say? Or are we going to call this a podcast?
Touch buttons.
I'm just...
Not too many.
Yep. Okay. Okay.
Awesome, guys. Well, we stream these every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and make sure to check us out on Twitter and Instagram. The stream is at twitch.tv/Epic Gaming Night. Make sure to check out our Board Game Geek Guild. Also, make sure to hit us up on iTunes. Feel free to write us reviews there. We're also answering a ton of questions on any of our social media, so if you want to check us out on any of that stuff, we'd love to talk to you, answer any board game questions, send questions into the show. epicgamingnight@gmail.com, and we will check you guys out next time.
Yeah, while he's closing out the show, I have to say stuff because he's closing out the show real quick. So Mark Street on Facebook did this thing on Who's Your Avenger Squad. I know this was several weeks ago, but I was his Captain America. So all of you people that give me a hard time, just know I'm going to hit you in the face with a shield. So keep saying your smack. I have this special plated shield. I'm going to kill Iron Man, and I'm going to hit you in the face with my shield. Spoiler alert for Civil War.
Jeez. Hard.
Going hard. Peace.
Yeah. I'm Captain America.
Oh my gosh. Jockson43 in chat asks, "How did I get here?" ? I don't even know what that means. They're like,
I would just respond with, "Why are you here?" ?
Board games. I just put a smiley face. It was awesome. But they said it just a little bit ago, like literally, like when you were in your rant about spoilers for Risk Legacy.
Oh man, so are we off?
Yeah.
Alright, I gotta poop so bad, bro.
let me actually turn the stream off. Check us out on Twitch. Peace.